Hi everyone, welcome to Women in Web3 podcast that celebrate the inspiring stories of women who are shaping the future of technology. I'm your host Kenneth Choo, and in each episode we dive into the world of Web3 and explore the incredible work being done by women in blockchain, NFT, metaverse, and much more. I'm very delighted to introduce our guest Nadja Bester, who is the co-founder of AdLuma. She brings a wealth of diverse expertise as an entrepreneur, board member, advisor, award-winning startup mentor, speaker, author, and host of a successful podcast, The Future of NFTs. She's also an executive producer of a Netflix documentary on the future of the internet and evolution of the digital self through the use of cutting-edge technologies such as Web3, AI, and spatial computing. With nearly 2 decades of experience in marketing and communication and a former owner of 2 marketing agencies, she has a proven track record that includes a role as a former chief digital marketing officer in the pharmaceutical industry. If you could redesign the Web3 key aspects to prioritize the inclusivity, what would it be and why?
I think, firstly, to say, I think that Web3 has the potential, and also already the implementation of a lot more inclusivity than other industries. So I really just want to highlight that because I think that this itself will shape also the conversation that we will have today. I've worked in other industries, and so we can talk about inclusivity in terms of being, let's say, gender. So in gender, I mean, we all know, and this is why there's a Women in Web3 podcast. That's why we are talking today. So yes, there always needs to be more inclusivity from a gender perspective. But then I think also geographically. So I've worked in other industries where, depending on the country that you were born into or that you are lucky enough to live in, you get opportunities that are almost completely closed off to others. I think in Web3, this is a game changer. You meet people from all around the world, from so many different countries, countries that typically and traditionally would not get these opportunities. So yes, I think there's already inclusivity in Web3. However, now it gets to what I would love to fix, what I would love to change. And I think, this is so much to do with the mentality, depending on where you came into the industry from. So, and also when you came in. So, if you come into the industry with this mindset of, okay, this is the place to make money, I think there's a massive lack of inclusivity there. And the inclusivity that I refer to is education. People are looking at the Bitcoin price. I mean, and especially now, I think the last I saw, we were at 43,000, which is crazy compared to where we were not so long ago. But then this mentality says that, Web3 is the place to make money. And that closes off everyone who doesn't understand it.
Could you give a bit background about yourself? What were you doing before Web3 and how do you get into Web3 space?
So Web3 for me was kind of the natural next evolution, but I think with an additional layer on top. Because tech was cool, it was interesting, it was new, it was full of possibilities, it was a place where you get creative. But then Web3 ran so much deeper for me because there's a philosophical aspect that came into it. So I got started working as a journalist in the Web3 space. I had just left my career in marketing and pharma. I was taking a career sabbatical, traveling the world with my son. Really thought of myself as a guy, I'm early retirement, and I'm just gonna. I literally was living on an island, reading books and lying in a hammock, like the dream that you kind of
Wow.
say, one day I'll be doing this. And then when I got there, I mean, not to mention, it wasn't nearly as great as I thought it was going to be. I was quite bored. But then I got this opportunity to work as a journalist, and I'd always wanted to professionally work as a journalist even just for a little while, this kind of try on another life for size. But once I started researching blockchain, I was like, oh my God, this is a game changer. And I think the biggest thing for me was understanding at a level that I'd never done before how many problems in the world actually need to be solved.
Why do you accept my invitation to be my guest on Women in Web3 podcast, knowing that the host is a man?
So I remember the first time that you and I spoke, you actually directly addressed this. You were like, look, I support women. I'm a man supporting women. And I remember telling you, I mean, I think that's almost even more valuable than women supporting women, because women supporting women, although not to discount that, that's super important. But as a woman, you have lived experience. You might choose to support, or you might choose not to support, the cause, let's say, of being a woman, and especially a woman in tech. But you do have personal lived experience. Men don't have the same experiences. So for you guys, it literally is a question of you getting the information secondhand. You're talking to your wife, you're talking to your mother, you're talking to your friends, your sister. You're talking to women, and through them, your eyes are open to what the challenges are that women are faced with. The reason I'm talking to you today, the reason that I love talking to you whenever we talk, is I think it's so important for women to have allies, for men to say, look, I don't necessarily know what you mean experientially. I might observe it or I might not. I don't personally feel the same way because it's not possible for me in many cases to have the same experiences. However, I hear you. I respect you. I respect the experience that you have, and I would like to help make it better. So I think the awareness that you are raising as a man, and maybe this is part of male privilege, right? Like people listen to a male voice more than they do to a female voice. But ultimately, I think it's so powerful for men to stand with women, because we don't want to keep on talking about being women. Like, we just want to live in a world where everyone does whatever they want and whatever. Within, maybe in the crypto industry, you should never say whatever they want. So yeah, this is moral advice. Don't do everything you want. But it would be amazing to live in a world where gender is no longer a topic of discussion.
So that's where it also brings us to the topic of this episode. And can you share with us what is your insight? Because you have been in this space for many years, coming 7 to 8 years, and the Web3 startup that scene that you've been starting. So what is your insight looking forward into the future of Web3, especially this coming 2024?
Yeah, so I'm gonna answer. I'm just gonna add something to your previous question, but then use this as a lead-in to the current question, or not your previous question, rather your statement that you just made. I think what you said is incredibly important. That everyone experiences in some domain of their life what it means to be excluded, what it means to be rejected, what it means to be the other, right? And I think this is very, very important. And I'll get to how that links to Web3 just now. From a psychological and evolutionary perspective, I mean, neurobiological perspective and a psychological perspective, there's no greater threat to our well-being and even our very existence than to be excluded from things. I mean, in order for us historically to have been kept safe, we needed to be part of the tribe. If you were not part of the tribe, you were out there by yourself, braving the elements, braving predators, braving, whatever is going to come your way. But if you were part of a tribe, you knew that, you would be taken care of, and you would also be taken care of others. So how does this link to Web3? I mentioned earlier that when I got into the industry, it's really the philosophical underpinnings that got me. That was my aha moment. That was like, wait, what? We have this beautiful alternative, and we're not using it? Like, okay, but back then I think my thoughts were not, we're not using it. Back then my thoughts were, oh my God, we're gonna do this, we're gonna change the world. Um, yeah, it's the burden of youth, that you think that the hopes and dreams that you have will come true as easily as they come to you. But I think what I see as the future of Web3, is that we need to get to a point where we understand why there is a Web3. Because now with Bitcoin price rising rapidly, the altcoin season is going to start again, and soon we're going to find ourselves back in a bull market. What does that mean? And I think for me, that's the biggest question, and it's always been the biggest question. If Web3 is simply a space where during the bull market there's a lot of stupid money flowing because people want to earn the kind of profits that they're seeing from influencers on YouTube, that they're seeing on Telegram groups. So the Web3 industry, blockchain technology, even cryptocurrency, it has the potential for us to do things differently going forward. So I think for me, more than saying what I predict it's going to look like, it's such an open question at this point. Because I think what we need to do is we need to take this responsibility upon ourselves. We need to say, look, I want there to be a future in Web3. If we look at the adoption of AI over the last year, if we look at the amount of attention that AI has gotten, the amount of real world utility that AI has gotten, you can walk out your door right now. I don't care where you are in the world, walk out your door, start speaking to random people and see how many people are you going to speak to before someone knows anything about AI. I can almost predict, unless you live in a rural, part of your country, probably it's not going to be too many people. There's not going to be 6 degrees of separation between you and AI, right? Like people are aware of what's going on and they're using it. Now, replicate, do A/B testing, do it with Web3. How many people, random people on the street, do you need to speak to before they have ever even heard of Web3? Before they think that cryptocurrency is anything but a scam? And that they understand the first thing about what blockchain technology is about. So I think, it's so easy to get carried away because if you look at the difference between a startup, for example, and a corporate is very structured. They have massive amounts of resources, but that's also why they are the dinosaurs. They move slow, it's very systematic. Whereas a startup needs to be agile. You need to be on your feet. You need to pivot at any given moment. And so, as an industry, we're a startup industry. We're not a corporate structure industry. I mean, it's maturing, but anything goes. There's a lot of innovation. We're all making amazing discoveries. Groundbreaking work potentially can be done. But then we need to navigate and we need to balance and juggle all of these things at the same time. And I think the issue with Web3 is because the lack of education is leading to promises being made to people who don't understand that those promises are false because they don't understand anything. That's a danger. And as people in Web3, I mean, I see this as a personal responsibility. I see this as the universe sent out like bat signals and I answered. And that's what I'm doing with my life, is to make sure that, look, I want there to be this, but I can't say that it should if we are not going to do things the way that it should be done, right? If we're only going to use this technology to exploit others, then really it should come to an end. Like the technology should come to an end. What are we using it for? We know how badly things have failed in other industries. So let's not replicate. And so, yeah, really, I don't have a prediction. I have an open invitation that the future of Web3 is going to be whatever all of us collectively is going to turn it into.
Wow, that's a lot. I think for a lot of people to really visualize, right? What is the future of Web3 going to be? Because it's a collective thing. And I think the other thing that you mentioned about is the education part. I think there are so-called educators, right, that is out in the market that is not educating people the right way. They have their own agenda. They have their own um, purpose, right, to really make money out from all these people that they are following, right? And one example, I have a friend who just jumped into buying NFT without knowing why she's buying, just because someone reputable told her, and she so buy into this person's philosophy, right? That she can make money from it because this person's NFT is going to be valuable in the next 2 to 3 years. I was like, these are
Haven't we
things
heard
that,
that before?
yeah, we heard that again and again, and I know what it's going to be, right? For example, like recently she bought some of the Ethereum about a month ago, and now we know because of Bitcoin, because of the ETF and all that, the market is going up for at least 5 to 10%. Right. For me, I benefited from it because I've been studying it, been doing it for a while. And I told her that now is an opportunity for you to sell off the NFT because the value had gone up. and she said, oh, I should listen to this person. This person say I have to keep it for another 1 to 2 years. I was thinking like you don't even have the basic understanding of investment at all, and you're jumping into this hoping, right? The word is hoping that this NFT will increase in value. Then you are on the wrong track. That this is why a lot of people got burned, right, in the past 2 to 3 years, because of this naive thinking of following another person, not having the due diligence or being educated in that. And that's why all these people are baiting on all these people. I won't blame them, but I would say that they have their own intention. They have their own optimistic thinking that whatever they build is going to create the value that the people that they want to help will benefit from it. But this is just a, what do you call that, assumption, right? That is not based on anything, right? And anything can change in this 1 to 2 years. Like the startup that you have mentored, that you guys have invested, they can sell you all their dreams, but when you come to do
Yeah.
it in the first 2 years, and when COVID hit, you know that a lot of startups failed, a lot of startup exited. Why? Because
Mhm.
they, without the funding, they cannot continue to operate or function, right? So these are all the uncertainty. The only certain is now, where I know that now I can have 10% profit gain from my investment. I should exit, but I should be educated enough to enter it again. So this is applied to every part of Web3, be it metaverse, be it AI, be it VR, AR. Like now, a lot of people, a lot of startup founders are jumping on the AI bandwagon, right? Thinking that everything is
If
about
it
AI.
moves, put AI on it.
Yeah, like everything, even big corporations are putting AI for the sake of putting AI on it, right? But
Yeah.
does your business
It's the new
even,
Web3. Like before you were cool if you had a Web3 element, now you're cool if you're an AI
yeah,
element.
not like
It comes and it goes.
if you are cool with NFT, you are cool with NFT. You are cool with metaverse, you are cool with metaverse. But if you realize, right, running a business, right, it goes back to running a business. These are just tools, right? Like
Yeah.
before social media, before even live streaming, right, we are just going out there to talk to people, right? We will get a stage, we go to event, in-person event, to present, right, to interview, until digital comes in, until digital videography comes in, digital photography comes in, then everything is going digital. Like you mentioned, right? Marketing is now digital. You don't even have to say digital marketing, right? So in
Exactly.
future, we don't even have to say Web3. We just have to say the internet, right?
But then what are we going to do with the names of our podcasts and our YouTube shows if we don't use the terms Web3 and NFTs? Because I think that's one of the funny things about being in this industry is there's so many acronyms that
Yep,
we think are inclusive, but actually it's excluding a lot of people because they look at these terms. I mean, I'm very well aware of it. Like you said, my show, The Future of NFTs.
yep.
I mean, I don't want people to stop using the term NFTs because I have a vested interest in the fact that, they should call it NFTs because that's how I differentiate what I'm talking about.
Mm,
But I mean, on the other hand, I want to backtrack a little bit. You said, the story that you told me. Um, I think one of the cruel ironies of being in Web3 is fundamentally it is or it should be and foundationally it's all about empowerment, but what very often happens is because people have a lack of understanding, because they have a lack of insight and a lack of education. I think education is a loaded word, so I want to come back to it, but because people don't have that, they hand their agency over to others that they think know more and understand more than them. So I think it's so important that what you said about each person having their own prerogatives, because when someone is talking to you about something, why? Like you and I had a conversation before we got on the show about following the money. And I think, this applies, I mean, most of the time it ultimately is about money, but even when it's not about money, follow the money proverbially. Understand why people are doing certain things and not doing others. So if you truly want to keep yourself safe, know that you should develop the agency. If you don't understand, so for example, I'm going to give you a very, very concrete example. I don't understand crypto trading because I've never studied it. I'm not interested in studying it. So you know what? I don't trade. Like, it's as simple as that for
That's
me.
it, right?
If
Yeah,
I
that's
want to
it.
start trading, I'm going to start learning about it. And it might not be easy and it might not be instant, but until I feel that I am personally comfortable enough to play with my money, to gamble with my money, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to speak to someone else that I perceive as being this, expert. It's like the stereotypical financial advisor, right? You get a huge windfall. The old lady has her life savings. She gives it to the financial advisor. And oh man, sorry, the stock markets just didn't perform. So sorry, what can we do? It's all gone. You know, that's exactly the kind of thing that we want to move away from. So if you don't have enough agency right now, it doesn't mean that you never will. Everything is not for everyone. Not everyone has to trade, for example. I feel super comfortable not trading. Although there's so many people that think crypto is synonymous with trading. So how are you in crypto and you're not trading? Well, because there's so much else to do. So I think it's really important if you are going to, especially when it comes to money. If you are going to put down money for something, I mean, do you buy like an expensive purchase without researching it? If you do, that's on you because maybe you don't know how to research it, but you should know that you should research it. So I think again, this is the delicate balance in Web3 is on one hand, we say that, oh, it's empowering people. But is it? If the only thing that we are talking about is you can get this, you can earn that, you can, because that's like the shiny object that we are
Yeah.
dangling in front of people. And then we say, do your own research. What does that mean? If I know nothing about the financial industry, if I know nothing about technology, what does it mean to do my own research? I don't know how to do my own research.
You don't
Maybe I
even know
did
how
my
to start,
research.
right?
My research was bad, right? So I think like this is something again that we as people in the industry really need to safeguard. These headphones are driving me crazy. We really need to safeguard this because we are putting the onus of responsibility onto people that know nothing. And then we say, oh, that guy's so stupid. That woman didn't think. Yeah, well, duh, of course not, because they have no idea what's going on. So it really is a collective responsibility. I mean, there's so much personal responsibility that comes into play, but keeping in mind that we don't hail from a society where there was a lot of self-empowerment. We don't come from a background all across the world where people had the agency to make decisions based on what's best for them. People are used to following orders. They are used to deferring responsibility to others. They are used to looking up at the leaders and the experts and the gurus and believing what they say. And this is where Web3 comes in and says, hey, you can be that person. You can be that person to yourself, you can be that person to others, and then there's a peer-to-peer exchange because I might know things that you don't, but you certainly know things I don't. So rather than us saying there's a hierarchy of I'm here and you're there and that person's there, no, we're all floating in different bubbles. And the beauty of humanness, but the beauty of this industry, because this industry promotes that, is that these bubbles float in space, they bump up against each other. There's a weird soapy chemical reaction, and and then we make something beautiful together. So I think that's really, really important to highlight is you might not know or understand now, but then take the next step. There's so many people willing to give time to offer advice, especially in person. I think it's maybe more difficult online. But if you're able to attend an event in your area, there's always events happening somewhere. And you know what? If there's no events happening, why don't you organize one? You don't have to be an expert. If you want to learn about it, organize the event, bring the people together, and then learn. But there's always ways and means in order to inject more agency into your own life. And I think that's the only way that Web3 is truly going to come into its own, is if people internalize the self-empowerment, the ownership, the decentralization of it. Otherwise, we're just going to have the old industries with a new coat of paint. And that's definitely not why I'm here. So yeah, I'm holding thumbs, or this is not thumbs, but yeah, good luck to all of us that it's going to work out well.
Wow, wow, that's a lot, and time really flies. In fact, we kind of like overrun a bit, but do you still have like 5-10 minutes?
Yeah,
Because I would just want
absolutely.
to
It
cut.
always happens when you and I talk. We always run completely over time. So
Yeah,
that's a sign that it's a really good conversation.
yeah, because it's very valuable, and I think since it's the final episode of this season, right, I really want to put out a few points that you mentioned, right, about responsibility, and most people they defer the responsibility to someone else, like the guru, like the expert, and everything. And the other thing that I learned from this, I believe that you know him, which is Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V. He talks
Yeah.
a lot about accountability, right? So a lot of people are just pushing all the accountability to someone. So, oh, this guru tell me this, I follow this guru, and I should make money. But the problem is, even a firework will know, right? When you invest, there's risk, right? Invest in something that you do not know, you're not educated, then why should you invest? Like you mentioned, right? If you do not know much about crypto trading, then don't trade unless and
Yeah.
empower yourself, take the responsibility to learn it or even to master it until you feel comfortable. Then you invest rather than hearing someone and push that responsibility to someone, and anything fails, oh, he's the one. For example, we know about the big FTX issue, right? So that is a human problem. But when you invest into something, you know that it's high risk, super high risk. And if you're putting your whole savings, your mortgages on it, who's to blame, right? You can only blame yourself for not taking the responsibility to do your due diligence. All we can say is maybe because of greed, because of desperation, but there are other alternative, right? So it's the lack of financial literacy, a lot of stuff, right? But I would
Yeah, I
say the
mean
key thing.
there's something that just came up for me. My
mm,
grandmother used to drill this into probably everyone in her environment's heads. If it's too good to be true, it's not true.
yep.
And so exactly what you say about, whether it's desperation, whether it's greed, but this is not the way the world works. Because you're desperate, the world doesn't rise up to give you exactly what you want at the moment you want it. It would be fantastic if it worked that way. I mean, we would all love it for sure. But the reality is it's not how it works. So you might need the money, but just because someone is, it's almost like the leprechaun at the end of the rainbow with a pot of gold. I mean, if I tell you today, oh, I'm going to buy a new car tomorrow because tonight I'm going like rainbow hunting and I'm going to get that leprechaun and I'm going to take his gold. I mean, you would think that I belong in an institute of some sort. But then why, when people are coming to you saying, hey, give me X amount and you're going to make it, 100x back. Why do you not see that as the leprechaun? Because it's the same thing. So essentially, you don't have to, in the beginning, especially if it goes beyond greed and it goes beyond desperation, which it should, because if you're in it for the greed or the desperation, you're going to get burned. I can guarantee you that right now. Mark my words, if you're in it for greed or desperation, down the line you will be sorry. It's as simple as that, because that's not the emotional states from which anyone should be doing anything. But if you're interested, take a more measured approach. You can literally intern an hour of your time each week with any freaking company out there. Everyone that you ask, or maybe not everyone, but a lot of companies that you ask, startups especially, would welcome the help. You would get to see how things work from the inside. The amount of time investment, would be up to you. It could be 1 hour. You could become a new team member of the team. You don't know what's out there. What you should know though is it's gonna take a lot more swimming from your part to meet the boat. The boat, I mean, if you know anything about how anything works, big ships don't come to the beach because it's not possible, right? If they're at the beach, it means that it's a shipwreck. So if you're waiting for the ship to come meet you on the beach, forget about it. Start strengthening your muscles so you can swim out to meet it. And then who knows? Then you're in the open sea. Then you can go anywhere around the world. You can circumvent the whole planet, or you can go to the bay over there. It's completely up to you, but it is going to be up to you to get to where it is you're going. So, yeah, definitely greed, desperation, deal with it in other ways. Don't deal with it by parting with your money. You know what they say about a fool and their money being easily parted? The other flip side to that is that there are predators out there looking for fools. So don't feel like you are the one that's at fault. There are people who literally make it their jobs to exploit you. But what you should do is you should shield yourself as much as possible by empowering yourself through education and through experience as much as possible.
No, thanks a lot for that great advice. I think this will benefit a lot of listeners for those who are tuning in to really understand what they should do in regardless of any new things, right? Any new things, be it Web3, be it crypto, be it anything, right? You just have to take that responsibility and be educated and then be accountable for it, right? There's only so much that we can say, but if you want to take the risk, be responsible, be accountable for it, and don't blame anyone but yourself, right? So just do your due diligence. I think that's the most important thing. So having said that, right, we are coming to the end of the show, and I want to wrap it up with this, which is, what do you see the role of women in Web3 playing in shaping the future of businesses and society? Because we talk a lot about the society, the business, and what would you see the roles of women playing in shaping the future of
Yeah, I
businesses?
mean, so I think coming back to what you said earlier about women adding different dimensions to things, a lot of what we see in Web3, and we'll see it again very shortly once the bull market starts, are things that make you go, huh? What? Why does that exist? And those are, yeah, exactly to this point that we were just discussing. Those are typically the projects that, take your money and then disappear with it. But I always think about it, traditionally speaking, even when women were not working and they were at home, the husband would work and he would come back, but the woman would control the finances in the house because she had the household to run. So he might be out there working all day, earning the money, but she knows that every month, X amount of potatoes need to be bought, and this needs to be done, and that needs to be done. And so women have, in a lot of ways, a more measured approach to things. And also linking back to what we were discussing earlier about women feeling like they need to be overqualified in order to, contribute anything meaningful. So I think I really see a very beneficial role being played there, almost like a layer of due diligence, because there's a reason that marketers and advertisers advertise almost everything to women, because women are very stereotypically, but at the same time, very still effectively true, the ones that make a lot of decisions for themselves, for their families, for their loved ones. And I think we need more guardianship in Web3. We need a more maternal approach. Sometimes it's a maternal energy that is loving and kind and supportive, and we need that. And other times, speaking as the mother of a teenager, you need to channel your inner dragon, and your fire needs to come out. And if you're going to get anywhere close, you're going to get burnt. And I think those are the contributions that are really important, because especially now as we head into a market that is going to be on the upswing, I don't think we've learned anything. Like, I wish I could sit here and say, after 2 years of being in this bear market, oh, we're going to do things differently. A couple of months ago, I think it was when Pepe came out, we had a momentary upswing. And immediately you saw exactly the same behavior being replicated, that we had in the previous bull market. So I think nothing will change. What needs to be done, I love this quote. I don't remember who the quote is by or even exactly what the quote is, but it's something along the lines of, don't wait for change to happen. If you, I mean, there's also be the change you want to see in the world, but I was actually thinking of another one. If you're waiting for change to come to you, it's not going to happen. If you want change, you need to embody the change. So don't focus on what is broken, focus on what you want to do differently. Really, that be the change you want to see in the world. And so I think in Web3, the role that women have to play, among many other things. I mean, I'm focusing, I want to differentiate here between women as humans. So, as humans, women have as much a role to play in any number of ways as men do, but specifically from the female perspective, I think we need more of that maternal guardianship. And that doesn't mean you need to be a woman necessarily. I mean, I see you as that maternal energy in the sense that you are guarding the well-being of women in Web3. So it's not a gender thing. I think it's more equality. There are women who are not this, and there are men who are exactly this. So I think it's more an archetypal sort of role that we need to play and that we need to have more of, so that I think there's a big role, a big place for women. And certainly I want to say in closing that if you're a woman, either already working in this industry or really just considering it, um, I promise you there's a place for you. Because if you think about any other industry, I'll give an example. I used to work in the pharma industry. I used to work in medical research. I used to work in the marketing. I don't have a background in pharmacology. I've never studied it. I know as much as I know from self-study, but I don't have formal qualifications. But don't fall prey to the mentality that you need to know it all, understand it all. Reach out for help, ask others, connect with others. You don't have to ask for help as a, hey, you're here, I'm here. Learn with people, learn with other people that don't know anything either, and you peer to peer teach each other and yourselves. This is the best way to get anything done, but especially in Web3, we are still really early. It doesn't always feel that way if you're coming in and there's such background and so much history, and so much has already been done. Really, there are a lot of people who've never even heard of blockchain in their lives. They've never heard the word blockchain. So that tells you how early we are. Get in. The time is now. If the time is not now, it's tomorrow, whenever you are ready. But don't think that readiness should feel like, okay, now you know it all, because then you're going to wait forever. And this applies to all of life, but certainly Web3. Just get in now, get stuck in, start building, because we're building this. This is a sandbox environment. No one has it figured out. We're literally making it up as we go along, for better or worse. And I would like it to be better. So I invite good people to come join me and let's build this together.
Yeah, I like the part where you say to invite good people to come in because we need a lot of goodness. Definitely, there are people who has ill intentions or for their own benefit to make money out from it, or to prey on people who are greedy, right? But I think we need more good people to come in because the power is in everybody's hand, right? So if we have more good people, the space will be better. And also, I think you have shared a lot, given very very good advice, especially for women. Definitely, there will be a space, a way for them to come in. I think this is where she can connect with us, especially for you, so that it can resonate with you. So, how can they get connected with you, Nadia?
Yeah, so I have the link tree that's up there that links to all of my social media. I think the best place would be LinkedIn and Twitter. That's the two places that I'm the most active on. And yeah, I mean, I'm always happy. Like I feel extremely passionate about just having conversations like these. It's not always super scalable when it's a one-on-one, simply because like I'm literally don't have time for my own thoughts. Which is why it's so much easier to have conversations like this, because of course it scales a little bit better. But I would also say, connect with me, but connect with so many other people, because there's
Mm,
so many people out there. So don't be afraid to just reach out. And you might get a response from someone, you might not get a response. Um, just do from your side what is needed to start establishing connections, because it has a snowball effect. Once you
yep.
start connecting, it's from one person to the other. And before you know it, you have a circle of friends that you both are learning together, you are working together, but you also care for each other as people. And what a gift for an industry to be able to give you this. Yeah, so I hope that there was something in today's conversation that was insightful. As I said, I'm actually not as I said, but I can give a disclaimer here. I'm terrible at responding to messages. Everyone knows this, even my family. So it not be the easiest thing for me to have like an extended one-on-one conversation, but reach out. And especially if we have things like this where you're able to ask questions, I think, again, not only with me, but there's so many opportunities out there to listen to people speak about things. And attending an event like this, being able to ask questions, that's really, really valuable. The amount of access that you get to insight and to knowledge and to wisdom.
Wow, thanks a lot for sharing on that. And for those who want to get connect with Nadia, you can put it in the chat also. And there are also some questions that some of the audience from LinkedIn on other platform they also post. So I hope Nadia will be able to answer that. So just keep your questions coming along, and we will try our best to answer them. And I like the part where you say to keep on learning, right? Connecting from one person to another person, which is exactly what this podcast is all about. It started from one guest, and now you are the 20th guest, and I have the guest list for season two, right? So if you are really interested, that you will find a way. Like for me, I'm interested in hearing more about women in Web3, understand more about Web3. Now I'm 20 brains more, right? Learning from all these amazing women in Web3 and get to understand what are the challenges and struggles. So you can do that too. Having said that, once again, I thanks Nadia for making time in your busy schedule to share this. And this really makes a very good wrap up for season one with 20 episodes. Before we wrap up, I still have to do this tradition, which is what will be your question of the day for the next guest?
I feel like this is the most difficult question you've asked me today. Yeah, so I think I'll pass on the baton and ask, why is Web3 important? Because we say it is, but why is it really? Are we saying it because, we believe in it, because we're invested in it, or do we have the right to be so invested and to be so passionate? So why is Web3 important?
Okay, so I'm thinking to add on, right? Why is Web3 really important? I was just thinking on that.
Really,
That was,
really important.
yeah, really important, right? So I think this question goes out
Or
to the
maybe
next. Yeah.
maybe not even important, but why is it relevant even?
Okay.
I think that's maybe even a better question. Why is Web3 relevant? Because AI seems very relevant.
Mm.
Is Web3 relevant?
So once again, thanks Nadia for making time. I know we have overrun a lot, but really appreciate your time. I believe that these are really good values to really wrap up season one. So once again, thanks a lot, Nadia, and I shall see you guys
So,
in the
so,
next
so
season.
Kenneth,
Yep.
because it's the end of the season, let me finish. Let me have the last word by telling
All right.
you thank you so much for all of the contributions that you are making to women in Web3, to women in tech, to women in business. As I said at the beginning, it's incredibly important to have male allies, and I respect you tremendously for the work that you are doing. Congratulations on 20 episodes. Here's to 20, 200, 2000, however many more that you want to do. I think there's an appetite for a lot, but here's to so much